Are you happy of this Codemotion? Yeah. Okay, great. It's great because now I'm going to make you sad and angry, okay? I'm here to speak about biases. What are biases? Biases are thinking pattern that leads us to systematic error, systematic mistakes, okay? Biases are bugs of our, not software, of our hardware, of our brain. And they are the same for all of us, okay? A bias is classified as a bias not because I suffer of it or he suffers of it, but because we, as human beings, are biased exactly in the same way, okay? And there are lots of them, actually many more, okay? So these are all, these are a classification of the bugs of our brain, okay? And the idea of my talk is make you thinking about this, especially in the context of your day-by-day job, okay? So I'm going through a set of bias, not all of them, of course, okay? And I want you to make a mental exercise to think about in which way that specific bias affected a specific aspect of your day-by-day job. Okay? Of course, there are many of them, but the main point is that they are grouped in 4 different categories. So the first category, probably the most common, especially in our era, is that we have too much information. The social networks, the internet in general, overwhelms us with lots of information. And we have to filter, okay? And the way we filter is not scientific, okay? It happens that we filter away the important things, okay? Another problem, sometimes there's not enough meaning, okay? We, as humans, try to always look for cause-effect relationship, okay? And it's not always the case. But if this is not happens, we made up it. And that's wrong, of course, because we try to find wrong relationship, phantom relationship, okay? This is another very common thing. We need to act fast. We need to do fast. We need to deploy fast. We need to work fast, to think fast, to take decision fast. And if we take decision fast, we will easily take the wrong decision. And the last thing is that it's hard to decide what we should remember and what we should forget. We have limited amount of memory. And we have to take a decision also about this, often an unconscious decision, but it is a decision. And often it's the wrong one, okay? If you are interested in this aspect, I suggest you to give a look at these 2 books. There is also an Italian version for both. And the most important one is this one, okay? This one explains that we have 2 ways of thinking. We have a fast path that is our primitive way of thinking. Okay? And then we have the slow path. The slow path is slow, but it's more conscious. And if we think slow, if we give us time to reason on our decision, it's less likely to take a wrong decision, to make a mistake. Okay? So, as I said, now I'm going quickly through a few biases, okay? And I would like you to make this exercise with me. Think about how they affect your day-by-day job. because I'm sure they are. Okay? The first one is the framing effect. The framing effect is a very common effect, and the problem here is that you may take different decisions, you may do something different regarding how a given problem is framed when it's presented to you. Okay? And we, as developers, are the king of the framing effect, because we have frameworks, right? And okay, frameworks are great because they allow us to save a lot of job, but they are exactly this. They put our work in a frame. Okay? So they give us a path. And sometimes it could not be the right one. Okay? So the framework are doing exactly this, putting our work in a frame. And sometimes we don't want this. Okay? We have to take many decisions every day. We have to make we have to do many choices every day. And we have lots of doubt, of course. But we try to find a justification for our choices. Even if probably they are wrong, but this is something very human. A lot of these biases have this in common, that they are mechanisms that we made up, our brain made up to protect themselves. Okay? So we are doing this unconsciously to protect ourselves, to say, hey, don't worry, everything is okay. Right? And very related to this is the confirmation bias. We're looking for information, and of course on internet you can find everything and the opposite of everything, and you focus on the exact link, on the exact page that totally agree with you, with your decision. Because we are not looking for a different point of view. We are looking for the same point of view that we already have. Okay? Again, think about how you take decision in your day-by-day job and think if it fits some of them. I bet so. And this is another way we take decision. We take the well-traveled road. We take the road that we know the most because it's the familiar one. And of course, also, this is not the right choice. Okay? And when we take the well-traveled road, we are overconfident. We know what we are doing, right? And when we know what we are doing, this is the moment when we can make the worst mistakes of our life, of our professional life at least. Because we are super confident, we know what we are doing, we have no doubt. And if we have no doubt, we think super fast, we act super fast, and we make big mistake, bigger than usual. This is another very common thing. All of us do meeting, right? You know what the bike shedding is? Who know what is bike shedding? Okay, very few. The term bike shedding, they say so at least, that there were a meeting in Japan, and they were deciding something about a new, probably the biggest nuclear implant they are building. And of course, there were lots of speak about security, risk, how much power, how many reactor for the core, and stuff like that. And that day, they spent 2/3 of the meeting speaking about bike shedding, speaking about where to build the shed to put your bike in. That's true, okay? And I know I do this in my meeting. We have very difficult decision to take, and we speak about very trivial thing. Because it's easy to do that. We follow the easiest path. And the easiest path is speaking about where to put the bikes, no the core of our nuclear powered implant. Okay? This is another thing. I know many of you won't agree on me on that. You know this figure, these slides, maybe. And this is, sorry, this is bullshit, right? This is totally wrong, okay? We created this narrative thing, okay, I'm creating a product, and instead of creating the car that way, I give you a bicycle, and then a motorcycle, and then whatever. Do you really buy car this way? Seriously, who buy car this way? But we created this story that we can create product this way. This is totally wrong. Doesn't make any sense. But we created this story, and we put all the pieces together to create a sense for this story. But it's not like that. I lived this in my professional life. I was creating a documental repository for my office, so it was supposed to be used by at most 100 users at the same time. At some point, the CIO had a genius idea. Let's make this exactly software. Let's make this a social network for document sharing. So the same software was supposed not to be used by 100 person, but 100 million person. The same software, okay? So we created the bicycle, and now we are shipping the car. Doesn't make any sense. You throw away the bicycle and then start again building a car designed as a car in an engineered way. Okay? The bandwagon effect, you know this, right? You know this. You take decision because it worked from my friend. It worked from my friend. Why it shouldn't work for me, right? Without doing any analysis. The placebo effect. I live this when I do performance optimization, or I do bug fixing. Okay, I have a performance problem. I don't care about measuring where the problem really is. I'm sure the problem is here in this piece of code. I'll add a cache here, and everything is done. It's a placebo. You are not measuring, but you are relieved by the fact that you think that is fixed, because you added a placebo in your software, in your product, okay? And when everything goes wrong, we have the ostrich effect, okay? We have an integration test that fails 1 times over 10, okay? And what we do? We know that there is a race condition, that we should fix it, right? But no, we restart Jenkins again. So the next time, it will be green and everybody will be happy, right? Okay? And then this is another very, very common thing, okay? I believe that this is a rite of passage. When you are a Java developer, the rite of passage is create your own object to relational mapper, right? Every company in the world have their ORM tool. It's a rite of passage. It's the IKEA effect. It's the not invented here syndrome. Okay? But your business is not creating an ORM. Your business is doing something else. It's creating a store online or whatever. That's not your business. So you shouldn't invest your effort there. Pro-innovation bias. That's another very common thing. The newest thing has to be the best one, the coolest one, the silver bullet. But I'll tell you a secret, there is no silver bullet. Okay, and the newest one won't be as well. Could be something useful in some specific scenario, something new. Okay, of course I'm not against innovation. I love it, but I think that you should always use the right tool for the right job. Okay. Who know who this guy is? Ignaz Semmelweis. There's a bias with his name. Okay, Ignaz Semmelweis was a doctor, and he worked in mid-19th century in Vienna, that at time was one of the biggest hospitals of the world, as you can imagine. And he started taking some statistic about the hospital, and there was one very specific thing. In year 1846, he found something strange. There were two rooms in two totally separate sections, two totally separated areas of the hospital where women give birth. Okay, and at time was quite common to die for an infection where giving birth. It is called postpartum infection. The problem was that in one of the rooms, the postpartum infection was almost always below 1% of cases. Okay, and in the second room, they have the 40% of dying. Of death for postpartum infection. And he started wondering why. Okay? And what happened is that in the second room, next to the second room, there was the obituary room. There was the room where the doctor did the autopsy. Okay? And what happened normally is that they did the autopsy, and immediately after they went to give birth without washing their hands. Okay? So, of course, they were the vector of the infection. And some of us say, okay, just wash your hand. And nobody listened to him. Especially the doctor didn't want some of the nurse did, but especially the doctor wanted to wash their hand because they couldn't believe they were the vector of that infection. They are the doctor, right? How they could be the vector of the infection? But he had data to demonstrate this, okay? So no matter what you believe, no matter what you think is right, if you have data that demonstrate the opposite, data wins, always, okay? The Dunning-Kruger effect. This is something very typical, I think. At least in some organization, okay? There are people that lots and more, and lots their things are not usually so simple, okay? And then before speaking, before suggesting a solution, they think a lot, they stay silent, they think very well to all pros and cons, while the newbie always have the right solution. And so this is this very typical thing, and at this point of knowledge, you have the peak of Mr. Stupid, right? So the effect is this. Okay, this is another very typical thing, I believe. Okay, another very typical thing is the availability heuristic. We think we give higher priority to data that are readily available to us, to things, to evidence that are under the spot, but we don't dig enough to figure out where the real cause of the problems are. Okay, and last there is this one that is actually a meta bias. Okay, because I know you are biased, but I'm not, right? So the so-called bias blind spot. I know all of you are biased, but I'm not. I'm right. I know I'm right. Okay? So, end of the story. We got what we deserved. Okay? I believe that for some reason we decided to not be an engineer, not being software engineer. We think to us as artists or craftsmen or ninja, superhero, Wonder Woman, what you want, okay? But I'll tell you something. And we got what we deserve for doing this way. We have great success, but many more miserable failures, okay? But I think we are engineers. We should behave as engineers. We should use data. Okay? I'm not saying that the artistic aspect is not important. Okay? I'm a romantic developer. I can see the beauty of a clever algorithm, of a nice data structure. I believe that the most beautiful tree is the red-black tree, right? But they are not the mean. They are not the goal, okay? They are just the mean. When you go to San Francisco, you see this beautiful. You go there to see this beautiful piece of art. But it's not a piece of art, it's a bridge. I mean, his goal is not being beautiful. It is beautiful, I think it is. But it's not the goal. That's the mean, okay? A beautiful algorithm probably will work better than a ugly structured one, okay? But the beauty, the art, the craftsman is the mean. It's not the goal. The goal of the bridge is going from San Francisco to Oakland and back. And I don't care if it's red or yellow, right? So, please stop doing, and I know you will hate me for this, stop doing this stupid methodology, agile, stand up, Pomodoro, whatever thing. Stop doing this stuff. We are not that. We are not that. We are engineer. We are software engineer. We are not developer, right? We are not developer. We are software engineer. And I underline the word engineer. We are not here to play a game. Stop with the gamification. Stop with the party, the planning poker. Stop with it. Okay? Because if we don't take ourselves seriously, how can we expect that other will take us seriously? They cannot. You expect that somebody will take you seriously while you are programming with a timer, Pomodoro-shaped ticketing on your desk, and you are doing poker planning with your colleague, right? You sure? Okay? And the problem of our industry is that we are a young industry. We are civil engineer has thousands of years of history, thousands of years of mistakes, but they learn from their mistake. We are not. That's the problem. Okay? So let's try to learn from our success, from our mistake. Stop with the not invented here. Let's stay on the giant's shoulder. And when you are doing a conversation, when it's your turn to listen, listen. Okay? When somebody else is talking, it's not the moment when you take a pause to think what you are about to say next. Okay? It's the moment when you have to listen. Because it may be important. Usually it is. Okay? And newer does not always mean better. Okay? And people, especially male people of my age who were 18 in the 92, knows of what I'm speaking about. Okay? In 92 I was 18, and my dream was not a shining Ferrari. This was my dream. Okay? This was the Lancia Delta. This is the best car ever made. Okay? And now they are give this Lancia Delta. And sorry for that, right? Sorry, really. So newer is not always better. Okay? And most important, measure. Okay, you believe the problem is there, but can you prove it? Demonstrate that the problem is there. Measure that the problem is there. Okay? Today I was speaking about functional programming. This is not a news, of course. And rightly somebody told me, okay, but if you do functional programming in a memory managed environment, you will end up creating lots of objects and trashing the garbage collector and so on. That's true. But did you measure that is the problem for your application at hand? Do you have, did you profile it? Do you have the proof that the problem is there? Because if you don't, it means, okay, we cannot rise our level of abstraction. We cannot use functional programming, but at this point, you don't want to use object-oriented. You don't want to use a virtual machine at all, and everybody will be programming in assembly now. Measure where the problem is, and optimize that bit. Only that bit. Okay? And enlarge your professional toolbox. Okay? The more tool you have at the end, the best it is, because you can choose the right tool. Otherwise, you will end up with the golden hammer and the anti-pattern. You know what the golden hammer is? Okay? A few. The golden hammer means that if the only tool you have is an hammer, everything will resemble a nail. Okay? But very few problems resemble a nail. But it's the only tool you have. So you are hammering everywhere. You have to have a big tool box. And always use the right tool for the job at hand. Okay? So enlarge your professional toolbox. And I say professional. And actually I'm putting these slides up to demonstrate that yes, I am biased too. Right? Yes, I'm biased too. Okay? And one last thing. Have doubt. Dubito ergo cogito. I have doubt and then I think. Because if I don't have doubt, I will not turn my brain on. I will not start thinking. I will not asking questions. If I don't ask questions, I don't know where the problem is. I even don't know if there will be a problem or not. So if you want to bring it home, just one message from this presentation is this one. Dubito ergo cogito. Okay? And I'm done. Thanks.